Good morning, this is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. PsychicTarot.ca, book your tarot reading and unlock your spiritual journey. And the Pepper Master, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to season 5 and episode, I'm going to have to guess, number 637 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. 100% Canadian. 636?
Yeah, well, 637 was, technically 637, but 636 because the election night was a special thing. Like, was 8.5 hours. I can't put that into an audio podcast.
No, obviously not. All right. Today, recording day is, I don't remember. I'm so tired.
Wednesday.
It's Wednesday, April 30th, 2025. And it looks like it's going to be a gorgeous day at the Beaver Lodge here. It's blue sky, and you can see the sun coming up there. I am your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver A. And as you can hear, and as you can see, with me is my good friend, as usual, Mr. Grizzly. Big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Pepper Master, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and PsychicTarot.ca. Thank you for all your support. Kits and Cubs, thank you for indulging my absence yesterday, and thank you, Mr. Grizzly, for having put on a very good show yesterday. I did watch it after the fact. Yes, this beaver was tired.
Well, you did run a marathon the night before, so that might have something to do with it.
Yeah, 8 hours or something. And then there was the adrenaline high after completing the show because it went well. And then I was buzzing for a little bit after, so I didn't get to bed till close till 5. So
how many guests in total?
7 or 8, I think. Yeah, but and good flow and all that kind of stuff. There was a couple of guests who weren't able to make it at the last minute. Unfortunately, Josh Morando had picked up a pretty nasty cold. And was not able to make it. And Tyler Watt, I assume, had a whole bunch of functions.
No doubt.
Yeah, so was not able to come in.
Future.
Yeah, exactly. But everybody else was able to make it, and a couple of people sent regrets and just quick little messages as well, which was nice. So yeah, it was a good show. But yes, a little tired, as you can see, probably. But hey, we've got something for you today, Mr. Grizzly. Something very interesting happened as we went on. Actually, right now I cannot see you because I have a wireless mouse, and it seems that the mouse will not hunt at the moment. So I have to go get the cord to charge it, plug it in for a second. So I can't toggle from screen to screen.
So if you want to do that, I'm going to play a clip here then while you do that. So that way we got about 2.5 minutes here. So take your time, no rush.
Yes.
I'll play this clip of what I will best call an unhinged interview with the President of the United States.
Oh, okay. Enjoy.
This This is something.
But the court has ordered you to facilitate that his
I'm not
release.
the one making this decision. We have lawyers that don't want to do this.
But the buck stops in this office.
No. I follow the law. You want me to follow the law? If I were the president that just wanted to do anything, I'd probably keep him right where he is.
Supreme Court says what the law is.
Listen, I was elected to take care of a problem. It was a unforced error that was made by a very incompetent man, a man that turned out to be incompetent, that you always said was wonderful, great genius, right? And now you find out, all of the media now, they're saying what a mistake they made. A man who was grossly incompetent allowed us to have open borders where millions of people flowed in. I campaigned on that issue. I wouldn't say it was my number one issue, but it was pretty close.
Right up there.
I campaigned on that issue. I've done an amazing job. I have closed borders. He said you couldn't do it. You wouldn't be able to do it. It would never happen. Well, it happened, and it happened very quickly. Wait a minute. When we have criminals, murderers, criminals in this country, we have to get them out, and we're doing it.
By law.
And you'll pick out one man, but even the man that you picked out, he said he wasn't a member of a gang. And then they looked, and on his knuckles, he had MS-13.
There's a dispute
But wait a minute. He had MS-13 on his knuckles tattooed.
Oh, he had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry.
He did not have the letter MS-13.
It says MS-13.
That was Photoshopped. So let me
That was Photoshop. Terry, you can't do that. Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You know, you're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay. I picked you, Terry. But you're not being very nice. He had MS-13 tattooed.
We'll agree to disagree. I want to move on to something else.
Terry, do you want me to show you the picture?
I saw the picture.
And you think it was Photoshop? Well,
here we go.
Don't Photoshop it. Go look at his hand. He had MS-13.
He did have tattoos that can be interpreted that way. I'm not an expert on them. I want to turn to Ukraine, sir.
Terry,
I want to get to Ukraine.
No. He had MS as clear as you can be, not interpreted. This is why people no longer believe the news, because
when
it's
he was
fake
photographed
news.
in El Salvador, they aren't there. But let's just go on. They aren't there when he's in El Salvador.
They weren't there, but they're there now, right?
No,
but they're there
in
now.
your picture.
Terry.
Ukraine, sir.
He's got MS-13 on his knuckles.
All right.
Okay?
Well, we'll take a look at that.
You do such a disservice.
We'll take a look at that,
Why don't
sir.
you just say it, yes?
Oh my God. Like, wow. That was.
Wow.
That's something.
Yeah. Jeez.
Did you see where Lawrence O'Donnell had like an 18-minute editorial the other day? And I watched it, and I'm not going to air it here, but in the editorial, he talks about how Trump accidentally butt dialed somebody from the Atlantic at 1 o'clock in the morning, and then butt dialed him again at 5 a.m., somebody he doesn't want to speak to. So he agreed to an interview. And in the interview, the heading for the Atlantic interview is, quote from Trump, "I rule the United States and I rule the world."
Oh, girl, please.
I'm not joking. I'll find a photo of the article. It's like, what? This man is deranged and delusional.
Okay, that interview. I mean, he would not let go until that journalist. He would not allow him to go move on to any other thing. You absolutely had to say he's right, and you heard him at the end. Well, somewhere along the way, I picked you. Well, really, I don't know you, but I picked you. So he's going down the path as, I picked you because I thought you were a great whatnot, and then, oh no, well, I didn't really know you, but I picked you. So trips himself up there, and right at the end, you're not being very nice. Why won't you just say?
Why don't you just acquiesce to my demand?
Why won't you just say it? Again, go back to that perfect phone call with Ukraine. Why won't you just say that Joe Biden and Hunter Biden are corrupt and have something wrong? Just say it, and we'll take care of the rest. Why won't you just say it? You're not being very nice. Why won't you just cooperate? Why won't you just say it?
Acquiesce to my demands is what he says. You know, I run the country and the world. This man is. Isn't it time for the 14th Amendment? That's the one where they remove him from office because he's out of his mind.
I think that's the 25th or something.
25th?
Yeah.
Okay, I can't remember. I don't know. There's a lot of amendments.
Yeah, apparently it's not like a permanent removal or something. It's only for a certain number of days or something of the like. Kids and Cubs, this is going to be an interesting show because even though I did find the cord and even though it is plugged in, and even though I can move the mouse around the screen, when I click it, nothing happens. So,
might be time for a new mouse.
Yeah, maybe that, or it just needs some extra charging time or something. But hey, we are going to soldier on because that's the way we do. Because I know that all I have to do is keep on looking right here, and well, everything will go fine. Fortunately, I also have my cell phone with me on the side. You see, built-in redundancy, so I can still take a look at my notes because I came prepared. All right. Although if I really had prepared, I would have made sure my mouse was charged. Oh well. These are the things you think of. Revelations.
I'm not going to. No comment from me.
All right.
So yeah, let's put this graphic up for everybody to see the final tally as of yesterday. I believe at what p.m. 169, 144, 22 from the Bloc, 7 from the NDP, and 1 Green Party, which is Elizabeth May. Other parties, independents, did not get any seats, which is not a big surprise. NDP losing official party status, but I think, and I've heard this from a number of individuals who are like, Carney may extend his hand to some members of the Bloc and the NDP to cross the floor to get him the majority he needs, which is only 3 seats.
Yeah. Those are all possibilities and stuff, like, an actual true coalition government of some type and that type of thing. That is a possibility because, and hopefully you enjoy our groovy graphics. Here's the thing, right? I was watching the ad issue, and Andrew Coyne, I think, put it best. We elected ourselves a parliament in which nobody got everything they wanted. Nobody's happy, basically, in Parliament. Mark Carney would have loved at least 172, so he knew he had a majority for the next 4 years, and he could just go with a plan. Because if we're going to reorient our entire economy, right, we're looking at least 2 full mandates, 8 years. Right, there's going to be all the planning and whatnot. We say it's going to take the first 2 years. We basically bought ourselves a parliament that will last 1.5 to 2 years. Till about U.S. midterm time. So, doing all that work to try to get some stuff off the ground, but stuff hasn't really started yet. And then if the Conservatives complain for 2 years about nothing being done, we go into another election. We could indeed end Conservative government 2 years from now because
another Conservative government?
Yes, another Conservative government. We had one before.
Oh, okay.
Another Conservative government.
Yeah, it would be the first in a while, but yes, okay. I understand.
Yes.
I was losing context there for a second, so.
No worries. So we can end up with another Conservative government, not potentially 4 years from now, but 2 years from now, when with a full 4-year mandate, well, one would at least hope that those things would be on the ground and then start building something, showing some results. And you could build on that and you could say, okay, now give me the other 4 years to complete the plan. But we're probably not going to get 4 years. That kind of sucks.
Right.
Mr. Carney also probably had a plan to govern more from the center right. Now he's going to have to make some arrangements somehow with the Bloc or the NDP. So that might impede him. On the upside, given that the NDP is now in a leadership race, it can't really afford to go into an election right now. They can't really afford to make too many demands. And given that, well, for Quebec, François Blanchet is in a very interesting situation because right now we don't know if he's going to hold on to his job. Because there's no rumblings that I can hear of in that sense about him keeping his job, but there are some rumblings going on. So we'll get to that later on.
They lost, what, 11 seats?
They lost 11 seats. So they lost a third of their seats.
Yeah, so I can see definitely people within the party going, maybe it's time we change leaders.
Yeah. Again, the context is that there was supposed to be an election in Quebec in October 2026.
Right.
coming on provincial election. So if Yves-François Blanchet wanted to make that jump to provincial politics, right, he's got about a year from now, like still in the block to make a jump. So, he's probably looking at a situation where, you know, he gets Quebec's voice at the table somehow in this new arrangement that we're supposed to be making with Donald Trump, which will last as long as he decides it's going to last. Yes, and then Blanchet's going to cross his fingers and hope that agreement lasts long enough, maybe to go to the provincial election, get himself a seat there, and he can say, "Hey, look, I did it."
Yeah, he'd run for the
Right.
PQ, you think, provincially?
Well, that seems to be the most obvious avenue for him,
Mm.
especially if people decide that it's his time to leave, right, federally. And for Blanchet, it just depends whether or not he thinks he can still have a grasp on being the big fish in a small pond relative for him, because Canada's the small pond, right? The Quebec legislature is the big pond for him.
Mhm.
It's the other way
Yes.
around for everybody else. Or whether or not he wants to be a smaller fish in a bigger pond.
Right.
Because here he doesn't have that much accountability in this pond. In the other one, he's going to have a lot of accountability. If he's a ministre de l'Assemblée nationale for the Parti québécois, rather than the leader of the Bloc québécois in the Parliament of Canada. Right? Because he's going to have the daily constituency work as an M&A, M&A to do as well.
Mhm.
So he does have it here, but like I said, over here, the Bloc Québécois leader, as we keep on saying, it's the easiest job in Parliament. You just take whatever the Assemblée nationale decides and you bring it to Ottawa and they say, "Hey, why aren't you getting on it?" Right? And so long as you keep on winning enough seats and raising enough money, you get to stay. But when you lose a third of the seats, it might be time to go.
I can see that happening.
Yeah.
Somebody within the party going like, "Hey, you kind of took us down a strange pathway there. Your English comment about how Canada isn't a real country did not help you. And there are staunch federalists in the province. And believe it or not, there are federalists who have voted for the Bloc because the Bloc did good things for the province.
Oh, yeah.
And the Bloc was not campaigning on the issue of separation. The separation issue
Right.
was put to bed in 1991. The
95
world has
was
changed an awful lot. 95, is that what it was? 95? Okay,
Yeah, the referendum, yeah.
Yeah. Either way,
So, yeah.
the world has changed an awful lot since then. And as I stated, I think, was it yesterday or Friday? I can't remember when I said it. I was talking about how, the BQ and the PQ at one time could keep Québécois in their tight little francophone bubble and hide them from the rest of the world and say the rest of Canada hates you, when that's not the case. Yes, there's people in other parts of Canada that hate Quebec. Fine. People in other parts of Canada that hate Ontario, Alberta, there's just stupidity across the country. We're not without that. But at one time, they were able to feed them exactly what they wanted people to read, hear, and see. They can't control that message anymore because of the internet, because everybody has high-speed access in the palm of their hand. And people have learned, and the world has become smaller, and Canada has become a lot more unified in many respects, where people have learned to get out of their cultural bubble and expand it beyond what they've always known to discover new things. It's one of the great things about the internet. How you can learn about an entire culture you've never experienced, and then, hey, this is fascinating. I need to go to that place and visit and learn more. You can do that now. How much of it permeates into the diaspora, I do not know. But I do believe that the attitudes have changed. Separatism in Quebec is not, it's not a popular subject right now. Support for it, I'm sure there's some who do support it, but it's very small.
And there's a difference between Western separatism, because Western separatism sees the rise of Trump as an opportunity for them, whereas Quebec separatism sees the rise of Trump as a threat to it.
Correct.
Right? So it's two different dynamics right here. So you got the Bloc Québécois, you got this whole Quebec situation going on here. And in the election, if you're looking at the results per province, the Liberals did get at least their 40 seats in Quebec. They got 42.
Correct.
Right? And the Bloc Québécois was reduced to 22 there. So that's where the things happened. Where it didn't happen for the Liberals was in Ontario. And you see some of the pollsters, I think it was Fournier, I think, on the TV saying, we mostly got it right, except for some weird things in Ontario. Like, Ontario is the largest province, dude. It's like, if you didn't catch the weird swings or some weird happenings in Ontario, you didn't get
at
it
all.
right.
I mean, there's 16
At all.
million
And
and
you're
change
predicting
living in the province, right?
exactly. I mean, they were predicting like 80 to 82 seats for the Liberals in Ontario, and it came out at
Yeah.
something like 50 something. Liberals actually lost seats in Ontario, and Conservatives gained a few.
Conservatives got
So
1 million more votes in the province of Ontario than the last election, which is a surprise,
Yeah,
actually,
so
a huge surprise considering, we have a conservative province run by the conservative premier who I won't say actively campaigned against the federal conservatives, but pretty close to being actively campaigning against them and saying, vote for Mark Carney. It's obvious Doug Ford does not care for Pierre Poilievre. And I think to that, because Tim Houston said, we are separate from the Conservatives. We are the Progressive Conservative Party of Nova Scotia. And I think Doug Ford actually thinks the same way too. I could be completely wrong, and I have no respect or appreciation for the man at all. I think he's a corrupt individual, but he knows how to play politics. He's corrupt, but he's smart at playing this game.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're looking at the pollsters, they underestimated both the Liberal and the Conservative vote. So a lot of the talk you're hearing from the Conservatives, particularly right now, is that, hey, he got more seats and he increased the vote share, right? That's loser talk, right? Because the Liberals also got more seats and increased their vote share. So we have a very weird situation. Andrew Scheer pointed out on that issue last night that this is the first election where both top parties have gotten over 40% since 1930.
Yes.
Right? So all the normal stuff, like, for example, in the past few elections, we've heard about, well, the Conservatives won the popular vote, but they didn't get the most seats, and there's something wrong. Popular vote's not a thing in the Westminster parliamentary system, but this time they didn't even win the popular vote. Okay, so yes, grew the seats, grew the vote share, but he still blew a 25 to 30 point lead.
Like massive.
And he lost his seat.
Well,
yes, what happened is that, yes, that the Conservative Party achieved more seats and a greater vote share, but so did the party they were fighting for. They were fighting against. And what's the main reason for that? If a party gains more seats and gains a greater vote share, but the leader loses his own seat, it's the leader. The problem is the leader.
Well, and according to what I've read, according to the bylaws within the parliamentary system, he should be vacating Stornoway.
Yes, he should be vacating Stornoway. Well, vacating. Let's put it this way. He can't occupy it. He doesn't necessarily have to vacate it. So by law, the leader of the opposition, now you have to remember, we're talking about two different things. The leader of the Conservative Party of Canada, the Conservative Party of Canada is a private enterprise. It chooses its own leader through its own system. Nothing there changes for the moment. But for the purposes of Parliament, the leader of His Majesty's loyal opposition has to be somebody that actually has a seat in Parliament. Mr. Poilievre no longer does. So he is no longer the leader of the opposition. The party can name an interim leader of the opposition, which they will probably do. That person probably will not occupy Stornoway for the moment because right now Pierre made it very clear in his concession speech, about concession speech for the election, which, by the way, have to give him credit, did not question the results, did not engaged in the rig thing, When the audience tried to go boo for Mark Carney, he's like, no, 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 no. All right. So points for that.
He was
We didn't go down
magnanimous.
the
He
American
was,
road that
and
way.
I said that yesterday. He was also misogynist, which is
Yeah.
who he is, but he was magnanimous.
Yes.
Somebody pointed something out to me that I thought was very interesting.
And-
When he thanked Mark Carney and congratulated him, they booed. When Mark Carney thanked Pierre Poilievre for running
Yes.
a great campaign and a great race and said how hard he
Exactly.
worked, they cheered.
Yep.
No
Nobody
one booed. Do you see a difference there? It's like
Yeah, there was no need for Mark Carney to go. No,
he didn't
no,
have
no.
to do it, and there wasn't a need for it because people were like, "No, he's right. Man works hard." It's never been a question of how hard he works. He does work damn hard. He's working hard at doing the wrong things that will harm people, but he works hard.
Now, of course, it's easy to not boo when you won and he lost his seat.
Well, I wasn't gloating about it. I was very happy for Bruce Fanjoy.
No. And not, but I know what you mean. But it's easy for the crowd wasn't not necessarily woo. The Conservatives booed him, and they just won, and the guy lost his seat.
Yeah,
right. So it's kind of easy to be gracious.
Well,
although the Conservatives don't manage it.
He was
when
gracious, though, and he was magnanimous. Again, he was misogynist, but
yeah. But in this case, that is a big benefit. We really need that.
Agreed.
Okay? Now, again, this could be strategic in the sense that maybe they did consider it, but given that it's a minority and he wants to hold on and he thinks he might get a shot again in another year and a half, maybe starting that year and a half by looking more like Trump and saying rigged is probably not your path to success, just strategy-wise. So, again, with him, you always have to wonder if it's a genuine moment. So, clearly, he wants to stay. So we're looking at a situation here where, in one way, Carney doesn't have all the runway he would like because he didn't get the majority, but you got an NDP that's going to have a leadership race. You have a Conservative Party that right now doesn't have a leader in the House. And when you think about factors such as, for example, the earliest the House technically could reconvene is May 19th, according to what's on the order paper, Mr. Carney could probably make some moves and get agreement from everyone to open sooner in some way. But usually, what you see on the Elections Canada website right now is the final tally result. All those results have to be double checked and audited again. So normally you don't occupy Parliament before that's finished. So there takes time for that. So that's why we're looking around May 19th as the earliest. So let's assume that we're working on that. May 19th is the earliest. Wouldn't be that because May 19th, I believe, is Victoria Day this year. So let's say May 20th at the earliest. Then, technically, if Mr. Carney wanted to be petty about it, he has 6 full months to wait before declaring a by-election. And then the by-election period can be made to last a full 2 months, which means Pierre wouldn't be getting into Parliament for a while.
Yeah, yeah. Can
Maybe,
he even
and then
attend
there's
the
the
House
Christmas
without
break.
holding a seat?
Pardon?
Can he attend the House of Commons question period without holding a seat?
In the gallery.
Only in the gallery, yeah, not in the actual House itself, because he doesn't have a seat. He might be party leader, but he's what do we say, right? What is it they love to say?
Impotent.
Lame duck.
Oh yes, lame duck. More like lame turkey in this case. But sorry, don't be nice, Douglas. Be nice, people. Be nice. So, but you got a situation where technically, if he were able to hold on, because that's a big if, but if he were able to hold on, if Mark Carney really wanted to be a dick about it, Pierre wouldn't be back in Parliament until next year.
Well, and
that's a lot of clips he misses.
Tavi G just said Lanceman will be excited.
Melissa
Lanceman, being the deputy leader, will now be the one sitting in the House, heading the party until he gets a seat.
And here's the thing. If Pierre Poilievre has learned a lesson, Melissa Lanceman hasn't, because she got reelected.
Yeah.
And she hasn't had as long in Parliament yet to get bopped on the nose with a rolled up newspaper. So
it's coming.
she might be thinking, hey, this is my moment.
This is my time to shine.
Especially if she gets till January. You know what? Hey, I'm shining so much and people like me. Maybe I should just stay.
Well, yes, I think that might be her ideology. I'm pretty sure that's probably where she's rolling with this. You notice that Michelle Ferrari got booted, which we fully expected. Michelle Rempel-Garner was reelected, which I was not surprised at. But
No,
have you noticed
she's
since
a
Michelle...
constituency MP.
She is, yeah. But since Michelle Rempel-Garner's incident or episode with the threatening phone call, and I'll call it a threatening phone call, that she denied ever took place after other people had been on the call with her and said, no, it happened. She's been out of the spotlight. I mean, for the most part, she's hardly lifted up her head to say anything. She doesn't speak in the House of Commons. She hasn't said anything in question period since I don't remember when.
That
And
probably came from Jenny.
Her tweets have been minimal.
Yep, that probably came from Jenny.
I don't doubt it.
Because now we are associating you with foreign interference, and that's not a good subject for our leaders. So you need to keep your head down, because if your head pops up, somebody might ask you about that. And we don't want that. Yeah. So, same reason why they put her on after Mr. O'Toole left, they put her on something to do with national security. So, it's still a very important file, but, it's national security. You can't really talk about that. So there won't be as many opportunities for you to go in front of the camera as when you were the critic on health.
So Pierre Poilievre has lost his seat.
Oops.
That snuck up on me. He lost his seat, and so he can't sit in the House of Commons for question period. He
which means
did not win. He lost his seat, and his party did not win power. They don't form parliament. And he technically needs to move. Do you think there's any humble pie that he's eaten? I guarantee you somebody served it to him. We've all seen it, but he won't eat it. He won't eat it. Narcissists don't do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, look, on the stage, he assumed that he's going to stay. Now, here's the thing. The fact that it's a minority does give him a case, right? You can go to the party and say, hey, I didn't get all the way. And you hear that on the rhetoric. I didn't get all the way. But we did, take a big step forward. This is the closest we've been. I got you closer than O'Toole did. I got you closer than Harper did in his last election. I got you closer than Scheer did. Just stick with me a little while longer.
But you didn't bring it home, Pierre. You didn't bring it home.
And you lost your seat. Yeah. And not only did you, yes, that is true, get a bigger vote share and get more seats, but you also drove the electorate to give bigger vote share and more seats to the Liberals. If your presence achieves both those things, again, you are the problem. I was like, you can rally a whole bunch of conservatives to vote for you, yes, but you rally the rest of the nation to vote against you. You're not the guy. So, but yes, the minority does make it so that he can make a case. It's a loser's case. This is loser's talk, but he can make a case. So, but Carney has, like I said, is having a bit of a benefit in this case of the conservatives not exactly knowing what they're going to do and the possibility of a big civil war going on within the movement. The NDP definitely going through a leadership race, and the Bloc, even though the last time in Parliament was making some big demands, if you want to survive, well then, expand the OAS to everybody, might not be able to make that demand because right now, I assume that Blanchet as a politician is as self-serving as any other politician. In this case, if he does want to make that jump to the PQ, he really does need to make sure that he gets some type of spot on Team Canada somehow to play a role in the negotiation. And then he really has to hope that there actually is a deal before January or February, but maybe a little later so that he can make the jump to provincial politics, if that's the case. So he doesn't have the luxury of being too demanding right now because he certainly wouldn't want to be left off the team.
No, definitely not.
So Mark Carney does have a little bit, he might not have to cater, quote, to the left as much as some conservatives fear in order to get a little bit, to get those 3 extra votes. Of course, picking a Speaker of the House is going to be interesting. I know that Mademoiselle May has wanted the job for quite a long time, and the conditions have never been better for her right now.
I'd love to see that. I don't think it's going to happen, but it would be
Well,
wonderful if it did.
I would be surprised if the Liberals would want to give up a seat.
Mm. Was Greg Fergus reelected, or did he run? He was reelected?
Oh, that's a good question.
I got to look it up because
Yeah, look
I'm
it up.
not sure.
Yeah. So, there is a possibility that the Liberals might want to keep the whole 169 votes, which means picking a Speaker from another party. And, well,
They did.
the resident process queen and the person that actually believes in the institution is Elizabeth May.
Yeah, he was reelected.
Okay, great
Yeah,
person.
well, and it says here the riding of Hall Elmer, which includes the 2 districts of Gatineau, makes up a good part of the city
Yeah.
west of the Gatineau River. Projected to bring back Liberal Greg Fergus. Apparently, he won. Aside from Nicole Termel winning it for the NDP in 2011, Hall Elmer has been Liberal since 1917.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's almost like Ottawa Vanier.
Yeah, it's
Very
always
stalwart.
yeah.
Yeah. So things are not all clear for them as well. So the Bloc has a bit of a sticky road ahead. The Conservatives have a sticky road ahead. The NDP has a sticky road ahead. The Greens also do. Their vote was decimated, but Elizabeth May did remain party leader. In fact, in the whole party leader wars, she ended up being other than Mark Carney, the luckiest of all.
Well,
Because
Pedno lost his seat too, right?
yeah, Pedno didn't have a chance, though. He was in Outremont.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, he finished 4th there. And of course, him not being in the debates. I mean, had he had a chance in the debates for all of Quebec to see him and speak, he might have finished way better than 4th. I'm not sure if he would have won Outremont, but nobody got a chance to see him, and that's what the Greens' strategy was riding on. Right?
Who won
Passing the
Papineau?
baton. The Liberal candidate won Papineau
Okay.
by a wide margin. So again,
Okay.
that whole thing that everybody hates Trudeau, because even in his own district, they didn't hate Trudeau. He was out campaigning
Yes.
for the next candidate as well. They won by an extremely large margin. And by the way, the person who ran worked for him in his office. So yeah, there's no hate from Trudeau. He was a very good constituency MP despite being a prime minister. So we're electing a parliament where the majority party, the party with the plurality of seats, does need a certain number of votes from somewhere else. The Conservatives are still in the same situation as they've been in the last 2 parliaments, with a certain number of seats, a healthy opposition in terms of the certain number of seats, but not enough with them and just one other party. They need to bring both. Both parties, again, the Bloc Québécois and the NDP, they both want different things. And, well, Conservatives have made it a point of pride so far to not play well with others. So what you going to do? They have no natural allies in Parliament in order to be able to achieve this. And again, even if they showed up in Parliament and saying, "I've changed," a bit like Saddam in South Park, like, look at me, I've changed. Nobody's going to believe it until it lasts with these people. I mean, the track record is longer than my arm and leg put together. So there's no advantage there. With regard to the overall election, little interesting fact, there was all this talk about this being the most important election of our lifetimes, and that voter turnout is expected to be massive, and that didn't necessarily materialize. It was the 3rd highest voter turnout this century, this millennium. But it didn't it didn't particularly stand out. The final turnout was 68.17%. Said we did well relative to ourselves this millennium. But there were times where we were regularly hitting, not that long ago,
Yes.
70%, and we didn't do that. So, for an election where there was a alleged existential threat and people didn't respond as much as I thought they would.
Yeah, I thought it would have been a higher turnout. I mean, it was respectable, but it does need to be higher. And as many people have said, as we've said, and we share this again, maybe we should really seriously look at mandatory voting. They have it in Australia. They've had it since 1915, I think, or something like that.
Mm, yeah, yeah. Uh,
Yeah,
I
Linda's.
I don't know. It's just the general sort of meh.
Yeah. This statement from Linda, I was glad we got a over 50% turnout, which is sad when you think about it. It's like, yeah, let's just say we've had lowered expectations for the last little while,
Yeah.
and as a result.
I wasn't worried for below 50.
No, nor was I,
we
actually.
were definitely in the 60s or whatnot. But yeah, I was. I thought for sure I would have bet a peanut butter and jam sandwich on it that that we were definitely crossing 70 this time around. But we didn't.
It was close, but not.
So
Close but no cigar, and let's face it, close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
Yeah, but I mean, the overall sort of is like there wasn't something deemed to be an existential threat so much that it seized the public mood, at least in the media and for the purposes of this election. But in real life, when it came down to it, about a third of the country didn't show up for the fight.
Yeah.
I find that a little. I'm not going to say disappointing. I'm going to say concerning.
Well, this from Saucy Sea Witch. I think many NDP voters stayed home, and ones who thought Carney had it in the bag. And I understand that, but it's like, no, get out and vote anyway. Get out and vote anyway.
And that's where Jagmeet Singh and Yves-François Blanchet's final strategies maybe hurt us. Now, for Yves-François Blanchet, it worked for him because what he wanted was a minority parliament. I mean, for Jagmeet Singh, I guess the NDP as a whole, it worked for them. They wanted a balance of power, and there is an opportunity for the balance of power here. Last time there was an opportunity for balance of power, the Bloc Québécois decided to pass on it. In the most recent parliament, this year they actually want a roll. This time they want a roll, which I find is interesting because maybe Monsieur Blanchet felt that there was no real chance that he was going to get that minority parliament, and that's why he was lashing out at the end. And then all of a sudden he got one. So those comments about Canada being an artificial country sure turning out to be to have been uttered at a particularly inconvenient time now that we have the results. Because Monsieur Blanchet was talking about things like we need to have some greater cooperation and collaboration for this period of time while we're negotiating this thing with the United States, that we need some type of what's it called? A truce on sovereignty. As meanwhile in Quebec, the Parti Québécois is looking like it might form government in October 2026 and is talking about sovereignty. We're going to absolutely have it. The Bloc Québécois is saying this. No. Because remember, the opening offers, we can be allies, maybe even indispensable allies.
Yes.
Right? So, and then all of a sudden, Canada's an artificial country with no real meaning. Blah, 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 blah. And then, okay. So wait a minute. You seat at the table, some cooperation, some collaboration for a period of about a year and a half or so. Okay, yeah, I feel where you're coming from, brother. So let me see. In an entente, if you will, on cooperation and collaboration, during which you will ensure that the government will not fall on matters of confidence while we're negotiating this thing with the United States. Uh, uh, Cooperation and collaboration entente, sort of like a supply and confidence agreement,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
With a country that is artificial and has no real meaning. But now you want one with a country like that, right? And you lost a third of your seats, right? And the next Quebec election isn't until October 2026, which is about a year and a half from now, right? Someone wants to keep his job. Someone wants to keep his job. Check the stance now. Someone wants to keep his. Wow. Dude. Really? Just pop up at the mic just a couple of days later. It was like, yeah, we could have a cooperation, collaboration, and contact. In fact, it makes sense, right? I mean, what other path is there?
Oh, I'm just sorry. I'm just reading once again how ignorant people are when it comes to how our political system works. Look at all this in southwestern Ontario. This all voted blue, just a little bit of red there.
Yeah, land. Okay.
Land doesn't vote. Land isn't people.
Square
Stop it.
kilometers don't vote.
It's like, okay, look at this giant writing here. Why didn't this? I'm like, yeah, that's it. That is a huge writing. That writing looks like it's larger than all of Toronto. Also, if you look at some of the writings in Toronto that are very small, it's because there's a lot of people that live there. They did this in the U.S. when they said, look at, there's just some blue here on the sides and the rest is all red. I'm like,
they've been doing that the last 3 elections here too. The last 2 where they allegedly won the popular vote. They've been doing the same damn
so stupid.
That's dumb. So here's the thing with since we're talking about Quebec a little bit. When Yves-François Blanchet went to the microphone and said, well, you know, we can have a truce on sovereignty for the next year and a half. Well, somewhere in Quebec City, there was another guy named Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon, who happens to be the leader of the Parti Québécois, who didn't much like that kind of talk. No, 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 he said. Now, you have to understand, for those of you who are not following, this new version of the Parti Québécois, Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon, we showed him to you once as a little bit more Daniel Smith inspired in terms of rhetoric. Right? This is a more, you know, they can't help but be oppressors type thing because they will never recognize like this. There will never be a place, you know, they might coddle us and be nice to us, whatnot for a while, but you know, they will never ultimately really accept us. Right? That's the sort of underline to his narrative and his rhetoric. So it's for him, it must happen. It absolutely must happen. You know, listen, traditional strategy for a referendum with regard to Quebec is like if the time isn't right, you just say, you know, like this, we're just putting it on the back burner for a while. Like he about 6 or 7 months ago said, yeah, there's absolutely going to be a referendum. As soon as they hit the place in the polls where it looked like they might get a majority, he absolutely committed to it with his full chest. He is going. He's not doing the Danielle Smith style where she's sitting there going like this. Oh, I'm not saying that I'll have I'm not going to do anything to have a referendum on succession.
There's already
Like
idiots calling for a referendum.
Exactly. Well, Danielle Smith is more like her attitude, her approach is, oh, I'm not going to do anything to make that to have that happen. But the part she doesn't say, I'm just going to create the winning conditions for somebody else to make that happen. Right? But I'm not going to do it on myself. I won't get. There won't be any blood on my hands if it happens. But he's outright saying, "It's like I got the knife and I'm coming for you from the front." So, But it's both the same objective and it's both the same sort of insidious, toxic injecting fentanyl into the public discourse type of rhetoric there. He was not happy at all, like at all, with what went down. So I have an article here. It's Radio Canada in French. Hopefully, we'll be able to translate it as I go here for you. But this is from Canadian Press. So Sylvain Roy-Roussel took the image, but there's no authorship other than Canadian Press here. Disappointed from the electoral result, the head of the Parti québécois, Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon, criticized on Tuesday the strategy of the Bloc québécois. In a press availability at the Assemblée nationale, Mr. Saint-Pierre Plamondon suggested that he did not share the vision of Yves-François Blanchet, who showed himself ready during the election campaign to collaborate with Mark Carney. He even invited Mr. Blanchet to return to his independentist roots. Damn. The strategy adopted by the Bloc that validates Mark Carney as a collaborator, as someone who is ready to collaborate with Quebec, put some limits on that which the Parti québécois could do in these circumstances, because this is not what we believe, said Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon. He declared that his party had given all, quote, during the campaign to, quote, help the Bloc québécois, its brother party. And he said that he had full intention to be speaking with M. Blanchet soon. So it seems that M. Saint-Pierre Plamondon, Blanchet's in an interesting situation where he's got Legault having no love for him, because Legault says there's already somebody that speaks on behalf of Quebec. Thank you, based on a actually legitimately elected parliament. That's me, not you. Move. You're crowding my turf. You're in my light. Right? And you got Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon doing the same thing. Hey, buddy, the leader of the independentist movement, right? Sovereignty, if it's going to happen, is going to be happening through a referendum that gets approved through the provincial parliament. It's happening through me, not you. It's not in Ottawa that sovereignty is going to happen. So, snap. It's time for a performance review meeting.
You think?
I'm leading this, not you. There will be no truce. So that might complicate Mr. Blanchet's opportunity to do what he wants, and that might also lead from calls from the inside to have him go. Because, again, as we keep on saying with ideological parties, when things go wrong, like losing a third of your seats, there's always some ideologue, hello, passé par Plamondon, in the background to whisper, hey, the current ideologue is just not ideological enough. Maybe we should replace it with someone better, someone a little more pure, someone who believes, someone who perhaps has not left his independentist roots, might have been in Ottawa too long, got a little too cushy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, kind of backstabby things that people say when they want to get rid of someone. So Monsieur Blanchet doesn't have it like that. He's very good at standing in front of the camera with that confidence and a little bit of pomposity that he's got when he's got that little negative edge, and it's entertaining and fun when he's got the positive edge on it, because it's flowery and, you know, doesn't act like a typical politician. But when he's got that nasty edge to it, well, there's an expression in French, il est fendant, a bit. So that is not going to work for him right now. So as much as he's very good at exuding the confidence, and it's like, I'm going to tell you how it's going to happen here in Quebec, the two people who are actually deciding how things are going to go in Quebec, the guy who's the leader right now and the guy who's the leader of the independentist movement, are both calling him to order. So he's on a very, very, very short leash, despite the outward confidence. All right, let's see, what else does it say. The votes were not fully counted on Tuesday morning, but according to the results, the preliminary results, the Bloc would have taken 23 seats at that time. So the last seat had not flipped yet, and reminding everyone that he had 33 at the dissolution of the House. So there's some tension in the Quebec side that could cost the Blanchette, and could cost him to leave. So when we're talking about Elizabeth May earlier, her being the luckiest leader, we have a situation with this election where the Liberals got rid of their leader beforehand. We have a new leader with Mark Carney and a new prime minister. We have Pierre Poilievre, who has lost his seat, and even though his party got more votes and a bigger vote share, his opposing party's main rival also did, and that's as a result of him. Because he personally is toxic. He wasn't very nice to people on the way up, including people in his own party. There's a lot of those candidates that were told to shut up and weren't allowed to play a role. Because he assumes that he's going to get to continue doing that. Now he has a tight grip on that caucus. He does. But he did blow a lead and he does not have a seat. So that gives a lot of people a lot of opportunity. And it's not like he doesn't have people wanting him to go, powerful people like Corey Tenike, who believes that he should go. I mean, let's put it this way. Jenny Byrne is already gone for all intents and purposes. So I'm not sure if he's going to be able to survive that long without her as well. Because if he can't go right away because he's still the leader of the party, Jenny Byrne can go now. She can go yesterday. As important as she is, she's just a backroom strategist.
That's it. That's all.
Right? And she was already persona non grata once, and she blew another one. So her opportunity to come back. Actually, I heard a little background story about that. It seems that one of the reasons...
You got to move your mic a bit because that light is super bright right now. Like you're really getting washed out.
Yeah.
Can you pull the mic closer, or is that as far as it'll go?
Let's try that. How about this?
Yeah, that's better. Yeah, because you're getting completely washed out by the
Okay.
sunlight there.
So what apparently the story is that when Erin O'Toole, when Jenny Byrne lost the election to Harper, her and O'Toole somehow struck up a friendship. And then Erin O'Toole said he was going to run for leadership, and she thought that she would get the call, but she didn't. So then she but she said, okay, all right. And then Erin O'Toole won the leadership, and then she thought she would get the call. And she didn't. So she didn't get the call for his leadership bid, and she didn't get the call after he won the leadership. And apparently the animosity sort of started then. Because, when Erin O'Toole lost, it didn't take very long for the knives to come out to finish him off.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Mr. Fife likes to call it, not Mr. Fife, Mr. Cochrane, regicide within that party. So she is most definitely gone. How long he'll be able to survive without her? There already is at least one conservative that has outright said that, how do you put it? The way that he diplomatically put it was that he believes that Erin O'Toole should probably stay as leader, but doesn't believe that anybody has a particular obligation to give up their seat for him. Yeah. You see, because what would happen in this case is that the leader that did not get a seat would ask around the party, hey, is there anybody that would be willing to give up their seat? Usually very safe seat. So again, would be Mr. Poilievre, and again, the irony of conservatives running back to a safe space to make sure, for sure, he could get reelected if there is a by-election.
Do you know what the final tally was for votes between Pierre Poilievre and Bruce Fanjoy? Because the latest in the interview, I've got the interview clip here with Bruce Fanjoy. We'll show you this in a minute, but it's showing 264 of 266 polls reporting, and he was leading by 3,793 votes. I don't know what the final number is, but
Yep.
It gives you an idea that he won by, a decent enough margin.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That margin is there's no doubt about that. Listen, it was like a blowout, like 10 points or something,
Mhm.
but it is a clear
Clear victory.
victory.
Yeah, just under
Uh,
4,000. This was, I think, what the final number was. I'm not sure what it was. That's neither here nor there, really. I was just curious because there was 2 more polls to have reported to get that final number. But he was clearly elected. He clearly has a seat. I wonder if he'll be put into cabinet. I would love if he was in cabinet.
It would be hard not to put him in cabinet given
Mhm.
that type of success. I mean, typically, a candidate that unseats another party leader would be a shoo-in for a cabinet position. Again, times are a little different, but technically would be a shoo-in. Getting the answer to your question here. Bruce Fanjoy got 50.83% of the vote in his district, and Conservative Pierre Poilievre got 45.83. So exactly on the
5%.
nose at 5%. The Liberals increased the vote share in the riding from the previous election by 18.97%.
That's a big
Pierre's vote share dropped by 6.03. So that's another thing. In an election where the vote share for the party
jump. Mhm.
increased in the seats, the vote share for the leader in his own riding dropped.
Well, I pointed it out yesterday, and I'll borrow it again, that Bruce Fanjoy borrowed the words from former Prime Minister Pierre Elliott Trudeau when somebody said, "You'll never beat Pierre," and he just said, "Watch me," not just watch me. So it wasn't, but it was. I mean, come on, that statement, "Just watch me." It's one of the ballsiest things a federal a federal party leader has ever said, let alone prime minister. If you've seen the interview, you could just go Google and YouTube, "Just watch me," Pierre Trudeau. And if you've not seen the interview, you need to see it because it is quite something. It
Mhm.
really is. It really is.
Indeed. So, and you'll see a lot of that memes going around stuff. I think Wyatt Sharp was one of the people who pointed out, who said, "Oh, this tweet aged well." It was Bruce
Yes.
Fanjoy's "Watch me,"
Watch
because
me.
somebody's saying, "You'll never do it." I
2 years a year later, watch me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think somewhere in the links there, I gave it that image might be there somewhere.
Let's see if I can find
Um,
it here.
but um, so you have this situation here. Um, it's going to get messy, right? And we saw more signs that it was going to get messy with um, that interview that Jamil Javani
Mhm.
did. Um, that was something. I don't know if you showed it.
I showed a portion of it yesterday. I didn't show the whole thing.
Okay.
I didn't. It was talk about sour grapes, dude.
I know, right?
Like,
Um,
wow. I got a
okay.
jet in a couple minutes here, but I wanted to
Oh,
share
okay.
the Bruce Fanjoy interview quickly.
Okay. If you jet, however, because the mouse is not working, I have no way to actually. Oh,
Oh,
wait a minute. I might be able to enter it through the phone.
yes, you could go in through the phone to do that. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Just log in to Restream through your phone, and you could absolutely do that. Might have to go out and buy a new mouse today. Eh?
Yeah, probably, or maybe it just because it was lost power, it doesn't connect until it boots up with the computer.
Yeah, you
Something like
might
that.
have to go into settings to see it. That might be the case. You might have
Yeah,
to go into settings and say take the wireless mouse, but the
yeah,
reboot will fix it too
yeah,
if that's the case. Otherwise, go get a new
yeah.
mouse.
All right. Bruce Fanjoy interview from Power and Politics. I
Yeah.
think it was yesterday.
Yes, it was.
To believe that it might be possible, but Bruce Fanjoy joins us live now, and he managed to make it happen. So first off to you, sir, congratulations.
Thank you, Rosemary.
Yeah, nice to meet you. How surprised were you, Bruce Fanjoy, when you got this victory early this morning?
Well, I wasn't surprised. I knew we were right there. We focused on the work we had to do. I've been at this for over 2 years, and had thousands upon thousands of conversations with voters in Carleton. So I knew we had a great deal of support. Ultimately, we put ourselves in the hands of Carleton voters, and I can't say how thankful I am to all of our volunteers who worked their behinds off a long time, and supporters across Carleton.
What do you think made the difference here then, Bruce Vanjoy? Because Pierre Poilievre has been a popular MP for that riding for a long time. What was the difference? Was it just that you had been working so hard behind the scenes, or was there an issue you were hearing about at the doors?
Well, the main issue, of course, is Donald Trump and tariffs, and the people of Carleton were looking for serious leadership. Who's going to be able to address the crisis that we have thanks to the American administration and their tariffs? Who's going to stand up for Canadian industry, for Canadian jobs, and for Canadian families in order to weather the storm? And they concluded that Mark Carney and the Liberals were the best qualified to deal with that.
What about the issue of the longest ballot, Bruce Vanjoy? That was the longest ballot initiative protesting the first past the post movement, decided to target that riding. There were 91 people on the ballot. It made for an extraordinarily large ballot and a difficult count for people in the riding. Do you think that had any impact at all?
I don't think it had an impact on the outcome. I'm disappointed for people in Carleton who that may have disenfranchised. Some people may have had some difficulty navigating the ballot, but I don't think it changes the outcome. But I'm also feel for the Elections Canada officials and volunteers who had to put in a very, very late night dealing with something which I think would be better left dealt with differently.
The Prime Minister did refer to you last night, jokingly saying he couldn't wait to start working with Bruce Vanjoy. That was before we had even declared you projected elected. I wonder how you feel about being a sort of giant killer in Canadian politics this morning.
Well, first of all, I can't wait to work with Mark Carney. I never saw this through the lens of being a giant killer. I recognized that history had an appointment with Carleton many years ago, and I wanted to stand up and provide a positive alternative to Pierre Poilievre. Because I think that it was very important that we don't import divisive American-style politics to Canada, and so this was something I could see coming, and felt that the people of Carleton would like a strong, positive alternative.
Okay, well, Bruce Vanjoy, again, congratulations. I wasn't sure it was going to happen, but you clearly were confident in your abilities and the work that you did there on the ground. Look forward to meeting you, sir, but congratulations on representing the riding of Carleton.
Thank you very much, Rosemary.
Okay, nice to meet you. That's Bruce
Bye.
Vanjoy, again, who took the riding of Carleton away from Pierre Poilievre for the first time since 2004 was the first time Pierre Poilievre.
So, congratulations to Bruce. Nice fella. Like I said, I've met him. I've had a pint of Guinness with him. Good fella. And I think he'll do a lot of good for Carleton. And I really would love to see him as a cabinet member. Something that I wanted to bring up really quickly, because it was addressed in that interview, was the longest ballot issue. And I'm just going to put you on mute here, sir, because you're... oh, you can't hear me? You can't hear me. Okay, I'll give you a sign. Okay. The longest ballot is an initiative brought about by an independent party. I read somewhere somebody was saying, look, the Liberals did this. They put all these people on the ballot to confuse them, and they expanded the size of the riding. That is all done. The writing is done by an independent body, not by any party, and it's determined by the censor with when it comes to growth of what happened there. I don't know what happened there. Okay, I see what he's saying. It has to do with the growth of the area, population-wise. Have people moved in, so you expand the boundaries as writings change all the time. This is nothing new. But there's so many people are saying, well, yeah, the Liberals made the ballot long and they made the writing different. And I'm like, oh, man, you clearly don't know a thing about how our system, our Westminster system of parliamentary democracy works, let alone how the writings are divided and set up and built. It's like just insanity, just insanity.
Indeed.
So, yeah, it's like people need to get into reality because they certainly are missing out on it.
Yeah. But I just listened to the interview and he just strikes you just as like a salt of the earth, just really good guy.
Yeah, he is. Yes, he's a good guy. He cares about his constituency. The reason he ran was he said, I don't like what is happening. Pierre Poilievre is doing divisive politics. He's a wedge-driving rage farmer. I'm saying this. I'm not saying Bruce Fanjoy said that. These are my words. But it was quite literally, when you see what's going on, we have to do something to help the people because they're not getting any service. I mean, for 3 years, Pierre was campaigning. 3 years he campaigned. Before he was leader of the party, he was campaigning. So,
yeah.
Just complete and utter insanity. And I think, a lot of the fact that we had a new Liberal leader in power changed the attitude for a lot of people out there, number one, because they were just tired of Justin Trudeau. So Mark Carney, and they're like, we like Mark Carney. We think Mark Carney can do a good job. And Pierre spread himself too thin because he's been campaigning for 3 years, which does not go over well in this country. We don't care for that kind of politics. Now, there are people who will vote conservative if it's a potato that wears a blue jacket. There's conservative voters who will vote conservative no matter what. They don't know anything about the party policy, the platform. They don't even know who the leader is. They're just going to vote conservative because that's what they do. There's people like that who do it for the Liberal Party as well, and NDP.
Right.
This election, I know people who have voted NDP their whole life who voted Liberal in this election.
Right.
And I know conservatives who also voted Liberal in this election because they were genuinely concerned about where we will be in 4 years with a raging lunatic south of us. We started the show off with an outlandish, delusional, deranged clip from an interview. I mean, the man just... I could go on for an hour, but I don't have that time. So are you all set there, sir?
Yes, I am.
All right, good stuff. I'm going to head out, folks. Thanks for joining. Once again, we really do appreciate and love each and every single one of you. Even the haters, thank you for hate watching us. We appreciate it. It adds to our numbers and the engagement. The one thing I do want to say just before I leave, and I talked about this yesterday, is if you want to really get involved with the show, go to youtube.com/@truenortheagerbeavermedia. Click on the live link. You can join the chat there. You can get involved with the show directly with the Damn Fam. You can bounce ideas off of us. I see people they have a live chat via Twitter now, but I can see it and you can see it and I can post things, but not everybody in the YouTube chat can see it. So if you want to get really involved with the chat, by all means, watch any way you want. We're happy to have you watching. But if you join the YouTube channel, if you go to our YouTube space, click on the live, you can join the chat there and bounce off ideas off of other members of the Damn Fam. And they're good people. They teach us stuff all the time. And when we make mistakes, they will point out, oh no, you're incorrect there. I'm like, oh, thank you, sorry, we got that wrong, and we'll highlight the mistakes we make. And we'll even highlight the criticisms that are leveled upon us sometimes, because like the hate version criticisms, I'll show them on the screen too, because I get a kick out of them. Well, I mean, some people need more mental health treatment than I do.
Some get a kick from champagne. I get a hit from hate tweets.
Alrighty, I gotta go. I'll see you later. Take care.
Thank
Oh,
you, my friend.
wait.
Yes.
Just want to say,
Oh, yeah.
go
Yeah.
Sens, go.
Yes, we
He's
forgot to
speaking into
do
the mic.
that.
4-0. 4-0.
That's
2 empty netters, but they
that's
outplayed them, they outdefended them, and they scored. It was 4-0.
guy.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Stutzel, yeah.
Stutzel.
Stutzel played both ends of the ice last night. He's a
Holy
forward
crap.
who was playing, he was back checking, playing amazing defense last night.
And not
They
just last
did
night,
everything
he's been
right.
good all series.
Oh, yes.
He's
Like
killing
the
it.
whole team did everything right last night.
Yeah.
They did it right, on Saturday and pulled off the win in overtime. But last night they shut him down, and I saw people actually burning sweaters. I'm like, you paid $200 for that hockey sweater. Why are you burning it?
It's not over yet. It's just 3-2, man.
Yeah.
But that too, winning one in Toronto,
Yes.
that
On the
matters
road.
because when you come home, maybe you got that energy. People believe now, and all you have to do is finish them off. And at that point, when it's 3-3, you've planted that seed of doubt. So
Well, that's
go
the
Sens,
thing.
go.
If Ottawa wins on Thursday, they will go into Toronto with more confidence than ever before.
Mhm.
And Toronto will be skating with eggs in their pockets, is one way to describe it. Nervous. Let's see what happens. It's been a great series so far, and I hope it continues. I got to go. I'll see you later.
All right. And since we're talking about our Canadian teams, we're taking a little break here from the politics there. Let's not forget, Kits and Cubs, our wonderful and amazing Oilers out in Edmonton. Wow. Yeah. Doing it again. That was kind of cool last night. I didn't get to see that one live because by that time I was extremely tired. But 3-1 victory for the Oilers over the Los Angeles Kings in that one. So the Toronto-Ottawa series is at 3-2 for Toronto and the Ottawa Senators. Washington Capitals and Montreal Canadiens, I think that they're playing tonight. That's a 3-1 for Washington the Capitals, so the Canadiens will be trying to fight off elimination there. The Jets and the Blues are tied at 2, but with that win, the Edmonton Oilers have taken a 3-2 series lead from the Los Angeles Kings, and if I am not mistaken, the next match would be in Edmonton. So the Oilers would have the opportunity to finish this off at home if that is indeed the case. So, yeah, lots of interesting stuff there. If you are a hockey fan, you have a lot to cheer for. Because, yeah, all the Canadian teams are still in it. And now, like I said, one series tied at least. And, one series where there's going to be a Canadian team that's going ahead no matter what. Right. And then, one other series where the Canadian team is leading and then the other Canadian team is tied. So there's a lot to hope for, and hopefully the Canadiens can fight back and definitely narrow that gap. So as I thought, yes, the next game with the Oilers is indeed in Edmonton tomorrow at 10 p.m. I'm going to assume, 10 p.m. Eastern time. So that would be 8 p.m. local time over there. And for the Montreal Canadiens, we should say, the next one is on, it says Friday, May 2nd, but that seems a little weird. No, today. Yeah, today at 7. The following match, if it needs to, it's on today. It's on the 2nd. So today at 7 p.m. Eastern time for those who will be watching that. All right, Kits and Cubs, back to what we do best here, because although we do love our sports, politics, that type of sport is the one that's more in our wheelhouse. With so we've talked about the Conservatives, we talked about Bruce Fanjoy, we talked about a bit the Liberals, their road ahead. How it's dealing with a sort of, I like to call it hot sticky mess of a parliament. They're going to get a bit of leeway given all the complications, all the other parties for a little bit, but it's still going to be a balancing act. You won't be Mr. Carney won't be able to sit in the boardroom and just say, I've thought about this. I'm the smartest person in the room. We're just doing this super efficiently, right? There's going to have to be some hand holding and some deal making and that type of stuff in order to get us there. But that's all right. We talked about the block, where it is that Blanchet is, whether or not he will, first of all, whether or not his leadership will remain, whether or not he might have designs to go for provincial politics, some tensions between the Bloc and the CAQ government in Quebec, and also some tensions between him and the leader of the Parti Québécois for two different completely reasons, but he's been pulled in a couple of other directions. We have the NDP with Mr. Jagmeet Singh, who on the night of the election itself, during his concession, made it very clear that he will not be remaining as the leader of the party. And therefore, that puts his party in a leadership race. They need to name an interim leader. Mr. Singh said that he would step down the moment one was named. So that doesn't have to take long. For the NDP, it's going to be how long they want to take to have their leadership race. That will be an issue. Now, again, had we had a majority parliament, well, we know that there's at least 4 years before another election, and therefore you could have a situation where the NDP would have an interim leader for a year or a year and a half or so, and then do their leadership race about 2 years before the election is scheduled and all that type of stuff. But given that that's not the case, and we are in a minority parliament, they might have to go a little sooner rather than later in this case. A lot of people are wondering who might want to step up for that job. And there's some names being floated around. We saw the other day a campaign stop with Rachel Notley, in which she was very enthusiastically introducing Jagmeet Singh, which was interesting for us to see because during the provincial campaigns, Miss Notley didn't want to have Mr. Singh anywhere near her campaign. So some people thought that as potential positioning for her, especially since, well, she is available to run for the position. Another other people that people are wondering about is the leader of the NDP in Manitoba, Wab Kinew, whether or not that would be something in which he would be interested. Why not, right? He's doing really well. I'm not sure. I have not seen anything yet about him responding to that. I'm sure it's out there. I just haven't seen it or come across it yet. But I have no idea. I'm pretty sure that somebody's asked him already. I have a feeling that he might be very happy where he is, doing very well. He hasn't been Premier of Manitoba that long to feel he wants to jump ship. And of course, Premier of Manitoba versus, 1.5 to potentially 3 years in the opposition from the fourth party status, trying to claw your way up without official party status might not be as attractive a job for someone who is already Premier. So you might want to take a pass on that. The other person in the sphere that has a similar situation as Mr. Kinew would be the Premier of British Columbia, Mr. David Eby. And he was asked about it. So let's see what it is that he had to say.
Prime Minister Carney on the sovereignty issue, what does that mean for British Columbia in terms of what you want to see from him? And now that the job is open as NDP leader, do you have any interest in the federal job?
I'll take the second one first. No, I don't have any interest in that job. I do hope that someone steps up to run for the federal party that has a commitment to bringing Canadians together, a commitment to rebuilding the party, and ensuring that the federal NDP can play an important role in the future of Canada. In terms of the Prime Minister, my call to him remains the same as it was before we knew who the Prime Minister would be. Didn't matter who was elected. Now is the time for Canadians to come together to ensure we're working together to do a couple of things. One is to get rid of the internal trade barriers. Prime Minister should call us together, all the premiers, we'll sit at the table, ensure that we're trading across the country, that we're delivering services across the country as one country. It should be as easy for us to do business with Ontarians as it currently is to do business with people in Washington State. And so that's a critical priority. Another key piece is obviously supporting those industries that are already affected by this international trade war that the president has kicked off. In BC, it's the softwood lumber industry. In Ontario, it's the auto parts sector. Ensuring that workers are protected, that families are protected, and that we're working, hopefully, to sit down with the American administration to end this trade war as quickly as possible for the sake of people on both.
All right. Whoops. There you go. Sorry about that. So yeah, David Eby, not interested in the job in any way, shape, or form. Another name that has come about several times when talking about this in the past is the name of Avi Lewis, son of Stephen Lewis, of course, right? Well noted person in Canadian politics are both Stephen and Avi Lewis. Stephen Lewis, if I remember correctly, is a former leader of the official opposition in Ontario. Big name within the New Democratic Movement, leader of the Ontario Party for most of the 1970s. And his son, Avi Lewis, became very popular as well. He's a filmmaker, documentary mostly, former host of the Al Jazeera English show Fault Lines, and former host on the CBC of the current affair program show Counterspin and On the Map. He's currently an associate professor at the University of British Columbia. He was the NDP candidate for Vancouver Centre in this federal election, so clearly he made the jump to politics. He did not win the seat, unfortunately, for him in this case, but I'm just trying to see here if I've got to the most recent result. He finished third. Of course, got swooped down, I could say, or swept up by the fact that the bottom had fallen out from the NDP. But in his electoral district, he did score 12.6% of the vote, which was significantly higher than the national vote. So he was stronger than his party. In this one. This was the riding that was won by Hedy Fry, so he didn't pick an easy seat in which to win as well. Hedy Fry, very well-known and long-time representative of the district. She won with 55.2% of the vote this time around, also increasing her margin from last time. Because last time she won with 40.44% of the vote. But this is her. Looking at this 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th time, 11th time representing this district. Hedy Fry became famous because this was the riding that was held by Kim Campbell back in 1988 and had in the big election in 1993. Hedy Fry unseated Kim Campbell in that one and has been the MP for that riding ever since. So I guess at the time when people thought that the bottom was going to fall out from the Liberals, Avi Lewis thought that he would have had a great chance in this district, and he probably would have, because there was a lot of that Hedy Fry vote that would have probably gone to the New Democrat if there was that expected frustration, but that didn't happen. So I wouldn't I wouldn't view his third place finish in this district as being as a sign that he would be unpopular or a bad choice as the leader for the NDP. But yeah, you've got him there, and you got this tweet there that I got up here, and he wrote, last night, NDP voters saved Canada from the surging hard right, but had to sacrifice our own party in the process. Today, the battle begins for a system where we don't have to do that anymore. We badly need a party that can save Canada from the oligarchs who brought us all to the brink. Then he continues. Whoops, sorry. Make no mistake, the authoritarian right may have lost the election, but it continued its rise. The information ecology is poisoned, and every liberal capitulation to elite power at the expense of working people will be cynically exploited. Let's get off this nauseating ride. Now, I do not know if that means that he is in, but that would give me the impression that he is seriously considering it. Why not? I mean, if he intended to run for parliament in any way and knew he was going to be in opposition, hoping for balance of power, then he certainly wouldn't have any trouble running for the party leadership and, doing the same thing, right? Now, the NDP will have an interesting situation in that if it has a party leadership and the party leader isn't one of the 7 MPs in the House, again, they too will have a party leader that doesn't have a seat in the House, as was the case for Mr. Singh when he started this. And again, a by-election would probably be needed. And usually the protocol would be is that some opposition parties, when it's a leader, would not run other candidates against them to make sure that the leader of a party, because democracy is better served by the leaders of parties actually having a seat. That's the general thinking. But we've seen recently, little more recently, that not all parties have necessarily done that. So again, we'll have to see what happens. But Rachel Notley and Avi Lewis are 2 potential big names right now that a lot of people might be looking to. So hopefully we will hear from them in the next few days. But there again, no rush, because the party does have to name an interim leader. Will probably be one of the 7 MPs that have been elected, and then they'll have to then make decisions on what they're going to do for their leadership. All right, so that is some NDP stuff here with regard to the road ahead. With regard to the Conservatives, as we mentioned yesterday, with Mr. Grizzly, who showed Mr. Giovanni's interview. It didn't show the whole thing. I'm not sure if Kits and Cubs, you actually do want to see the whole thing or not. So I will let you tell me that in the chat, because it's it's been broadcast as sin right now, so there might not be any need. But do let me know, because I'm happy to do it. However, there was a response, for all intents and purposes, from Doug Ford, dismissive in a way, more sort of like laughing it off, chuckling. Well, people will say a lot of things, I'm focused on unity and that type of stuff. So didn't take the bait. Didn't take the bait offered there. The thing with him coming out like this, and based on the analysis I've heard and that I've watched, it would appear that the impression out there is that this might have been a move on his part that was not authorized or not checked with, vetted with the party before he made it. With Mr. Giovanni, it's personal in that sense. Giovanni was a member of the Ontario PC party at a point. And he was invited to leave the party. under not great circumstances. So when Giovanni makes an attack against Doug Ford or anybody Doug Ford, you have to place it in that context, right? That there is some bad blood there between them two, and trying to find an article about when it is that he was booted from the party, so that I can give you a little more context about the reason why. But because I can't remember it off the top of my head, unfortunately, I had a feeling that it has something. I'm not going to venture a guess here because I do not want to provide some misinformation. But you think that the article would be much easier to draw up. You'll also remember that Giovanni also made news before becoming an MP by threatening to sue Bell Media because he allegedly was fired for not espousing identity politics because he wasn't as Black Lives Matter, I guess, as some people would suggest he should be, given the color of his skin. Let's put it that way. But yes, he was also Giovanni is also allegedly, and allegedly, I'm saying allegedly, there are images of them, but they were allegedly best friends. He was allegedly best friends with J.D. Vance, who's the vice president of the United States back in the time when they were both in university. And therefore, again, the link with that type of politics is also an issue. And we saw that in the answer that he gave to that question here. I'm just looking through the chat here. All right. Nothing yes or no here. Okay, I got a please no here with regard to that. Okay, that's about the only voice I got there. So, okay, won't show it all then. So yeah, Giovanni has a particular interesting history and particularly interesting connections, which are going to make him a very visible figure over the coming years within politics. Looking here with regard here to Giovanni here, his Wikipedia entry. Government of Ontario appointed Giovanni as the province's first advocate for community opportunities. In this role as a special advisor to the Premier, Giovanni opened lines of communications between communities and the government to empower community members and enabled them to increase their participation in government decision-making. Critics, such as his former mentor Neil Price, felt that Giovanni used his role to criticize the communities that he was supposed to uplift. Great guy. He was reappointed on April 1st, but resigned on June 9th after criticizing Education Minister Stephen Lecce on social media over the closure of schools and vaccine passports during the COVID-19 pandemic. So I knew there was something having to do with vaccines. Giovanni moderated the first unofficial debate during the 2022 Conservative Party of Canada leadership election, where he took aim at Patrick Brown, who skipped the debate by arguing that he was manipulating diaspora politics to boost his campaign. An official working for Brown said that the party should welcome new Canadians to the party. So there you go. And then let's see. Do I have anything else with him? Nope, that's about it here. So yeah, it is a bit personal with him and Doug Ford. They didn't. They don't like each other at all. So that display from Giovanni in that interview was an extreme loss of mastery of self. But it also lets one know that if Pierre Poilievre is going to attempt to remain as leader, that this is going to be a bloody, messy, all-out war here, right? You've got a whole bunch of people on TV trying to make the case, oh, no, I think Pierre can absolutely stay with these numbers and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, that's the natural thing, right? Pierre's got this whole machine. He's got all these people willing to run and talk and run interference for him and all do all that kind of stuff. That same campaign that he had that was presenting him to us as Pierre Poilievre, inevitable next Prime Minister of Canada, is definitely been activated for Pierre Poilievre, definitely still the leader of the Conservative Party and still leader of the opposition. We'll see how well that works for him because there's a lot of people that would be interested in that job. Jason Kenney has risen from the dead again and has taken some positions with the Post Media and even did some punditry over the course of the election. And you can tell that his time in exile based on his punditry did not take the hyperpartisan out of him. He did not come to the punditry table as we expect most pundits to do, to yes, advocate for your position or whatnot, but still being able to give some of the straight goods, right? He was trying to score points a lot during it, and apparently got smacked down a couple of times, which made a couple of people happy. But he hasn't left. He hasn't returned to politics to just be a backroom person or a commentator now. He's looking for his next opportunity to lead. You can tell by the way he's doing his punditry. You have potentially Christy Clark, who would like to try again somehow, even though I assume her name is Mud. But hey, you might have a Jean Charest wanting to come in. You might have a progressive conservative movement want to do that. Try to take over the party all over again, bring it in and wrestle it into a different direction. You have everybody in the Doug Ford camp who, the Corey Tenykes and all of them, I'm sure Corey Tenike is not going to stop criticizing the campaign because Pierre Poilievre said that he wants to remain as leader. So you have that whole section, and if you've got the whole side with Tim Houston in Nova Scotia, which I could see if Doug Ford does not want to leave the comfort of being the mayor of Ontario, because he likes that, that Tim Houston might make a bid for it. And it seems that Doug Ford and Tim Houston are actually rather good friends. So, well, good friends, or at least, let's say, I won't say good friends, but get along. So I could see a campaign where Tim Houston decides that he wants to run for the leadership of the Conservative Party, and Doug Ford puts his machine behind him to help him out. Then we can be looking at someone from the inside, like maybe someone with the last name Mulroney. Ben has been raising his profile. So has Mark. Nicholas has been piping up every now and then, and Caroline Mulroney, despite the fact that there was a sort of a no helping type of vibe within the Ontario Progressive Conservative Party, did show up at an event and really introduce Pierre and give him a glowing introduction. So Pierre may want to stay and may have a big team that wants to keep him there. But there are also a lot of other people that also have rather big teams who want him gone. So there could be the opportunity for a fight in the conservative movement that could get very, very messy again. And you have to see it from the side of the Conservatives that they're now looking. This is a fourth-term Liberal government. That almost never happens. A fifth one? Now, come on. This is our moment. Right? The prize is so damn juicy. Right? Especially if it lasts a year and a half and the Conservatives decide to do everything they can to make sure that trying to transition away from the United States does not work. so that they can look at it in 2 years and point to everything and say, see, he wasn't able to get it done. And maybe Canadians would be disillusioned a little bit with Carney after a year and a half, if there isn't that much progress yet, regardless of the reasons. So the next leader of the Conservative Party was definitely Pierre Poilievre was like, listen, it's in the bag this time for me. It's the fourth term. They never get that. And they're so unpopular. And he didn't make it happen. So the Conservatives that live on this opium, that this same style of politics, if they just keep on doing it harder enough and believing in it more, will actually get them to the promised land. Yeah, they're going to see this as like, come on. If we didn't get it last time, it's got to be next time for sure. All I have to do is win this race for the leadership of the Conservative Party. The next race will be easy. Well, that's what Pierre thought too. Didn't work out for him. But that will be the thinking. So it is whereas the leadership of the New Democratic Party isn't that much of an attractive prize right now, because you're in the hinterlands. Once you get it, and you got a lot of work to do. The leadership of the Conservative Party is a juicy, shiny apple. Golden apple even. And they all want to take a bite. So again, Mr. Poilievre, although he has a big machine, although he can make a case, his path is really not obvious. So we have the NDP, we have the Bloc, as we mentioned before. If they're looking for a new party leader, Mr. Blanchet, because he did manage to save the furniture somewhat, they didn't go below 20, might get a bit more of the luxury from his members as to whether or not, as to deciding the date of his departure, should he leave and decide to go into provincial politics. I do see that as a possibility for him here. But he definitely wants to try to absolutely set himself well by getting himself some type of key position on the Team Canada negotiating apparatus or whatever it is that's going to be established to go through this thing with IQ 47. And he's hoping, praying to everything that is holy, that Donald Trump really will be tanking so hard. And he's getting part of his wish. I mean, the recent Gallup polls in the United States show that at this time in the presidency, there has been no president more unpopular and with higher disapproval or lower approval than Donald Trump. I think his approval rating is at 41%, which is extremely low in the United States already. And it's not going to get better, right, with him. So that's one thing. The other thing I forgot to mention with regard to the Conservatives talking about Trump is that also, given that it's a minority parliament, the Conservatives are thinking, 1.5, 2 years we get to go, just tread some water. But during that 1.5 and 2 years, there's going to be much more Trump. And if that party continues to be Trumpy, that might not be the best advertisement for them if they don't do some type of wholesale change. Getting back to the Bloc side of things. So yes, positioning himself well for his next move. But again, that is if Trump actually wants to run on a deal with Canada for the midterms and say, hey, see, I'm a great deal maker. If that is not the intent, then Blanchet is going to have a little trouble. And again, that depends on Donald Trump's willingness to want to play ball in a manner in which Mark Carney is going to find acceptable in order to be at that table. So that's not necessarily obvious as well. So you have all three of those party leaders. The interesting thing that I was mentioning is that Trudeau's gone, Jagmeet Singh is gone. There is enough chance that by sometime February next year that Blanchet would be gone, and there's a chance that Poilievre might be gone. So this is an extreme cleaning house potential, and all these parties are going to have to do things differently. For the NDP, right? While we're talking about Mr. maybe an Avi Lewis or a Rachel Notley coming forward. That's going to be a battle between two different identities, because the NDP, as Mr. Grizzly keeps on mentioning, Rachel Notley and Wab Kinew are running more of a progressive conservative style. So maybe the NDP, the battle this time around is the NDP has to decide what type of party it wants to become, right? Is it a party for people who live in urban areas and who are more on the left, people who might be concerned very much about the Palestinian issue and would want a party to have purity on that type of issue before they will consider them for anything else? Right, which is putting the issue of another nation ahead of all issues with our nation. There's some people that want that party to be that type of party. There's also going back to being the Workers' Party, because the NDP lost a lot of seats to the Conservatives out in southwestern Ontario. A lot of those races ended up being blue-orange. That's where the Conservatives got their gain. Their bid to get closer to some unions did actually work, that gamble for them. So you could go full class war. Leave the Palestinian thing aside, leave all of that stuff aside, leave all the idealistic stuff, and just go full class war. Right? The people at the top got too much. They got to share better. We got to redistribute things better. We got to plan, industry and better. And then you got Navi Lewis, who can really take it down that path. And then you can have the movement, sort of like Rachel Notley and Wab Kinew, that might actually turn the NDP, and this is really ironic, into the newest national version of an actual progressive conservative party. It could happen. It could happen. And if that happens, that would make life much more difficult for the Conservatives in the future. Because that's the one thing we have. The PPC didn't manage to take away a lot of votes from the Conservative Party this time. So the dream of the Canadians on the left, that there would be one or two more parties on the right that would split the vote in the way that the Greens and the NDP do on the left, would be desirable. If the NDP federally morphs more along the lines of Rachel Notley and Wab Kinew NDP, there might be the type of progressive conservative party ethos within the new NDP, if you would like to call it that way, where we still want to do social programs, but we take on a bigger fiscal responsibility brand in order to have the money to be able to fund those social programs, right? And to stand by workers and fight for workers' rights and all that kind of stuff. So there is an avenue there. So these parties with these leadership races too, it's not only about a better leader to keep on doing the same thing. It might be about realigning the party ideologically for what's to come, given the changing electorate. So when we're having these debates, it might be happening on one or two levels. And those are we're talking about the four main parties here. And then there's also the Greens that are left in there. We haven't talked about them too much, but Elizabeth May did win her seat, and it wasn't by a little. She did really well. Just taking a look here at the full result here from Elections Canada, to be able to bring you a little more precise data on how it is that she did. But everybody was wondering whether or not she would be able to win it, because when we were looking at the aggregators, sometimes the Greens were at 0, sometimes they were at 1, sometimes they were at 2. Pardon, excuse me, that just came out of nowhere. Hold on. Sorry about that. And I thought it was Elizabeth May that had the seat locked in, but it was Mike Morris at that time in Kitchener who did, and Elizabeth May was the one that was in danger. Ultimately, at the end of the night, Mike Morris ended up losing his seat in Kitchener Centre, and it wasn't by much. It wasn't by much at all. It was a very close race, which is kind of sad, because he was very, very good MP. But if I'm looking at Sandwich Gulf Islands here in the election. Elizabeth May won her seat with 39% of the vote. Liberal David Beckham. David Beckham. Interesting. Won with 31.83%. Finished second with 31.83%. And then the Conservatives had 25.1%. In the 2021 federal election, Miss May had 35.77%. So her vote share increased in an electoral district in which everybody thought that she might lose it, and her margin of victory was a little smaller this time around. So yeah, she's back. Jonathan Pedno, the co-leader, is not back, unfortunately, for the party, because that was the transition plan. Hopefully, they were looking at both winning their seats and maybe keeping Mike Morris and having growing the caucus to 3, and being able to Elizabeth May being sort of like the elder stateswoman and passing the torch on to the others. In the current election, Mike Morris of the Greens got 33.62% of the vote, and the Conservative Kelly DeRitter got 34.22%. So it was 0.6 of a percentage of a vote. The Liberal candidate Brian Adiba got 29.2%, and the New Democrat Heather Zaleski got 1.96%. So this is a case where people, the citizens, decided not to vote strategically enough, at least to help Mike Morris pick up this seat and maintain 2 seats for the Greens. So the Greens have an interesting situation in that they've lost half the caucus in the House, and everything is still on Elizabeth May, who was looking forward to handing, to passing the torch so she can move on with her life afterwards. There is a good opportunity for her to be speaker, and it might be a good opportunity for her to raise the profile of the Greens, because as speaker, at least she would be in the press every day in some way, shape, or form, at least as Parliament is operating, which would keep the Greens visible. But she wouldn't have that much opportunity to be going on TV to talk policy, which might hinder the Greens. So not quite exactly sure what the future of the Greens are. There is a good chance, given the U.S. administration, that we might see a whole lot more policies that are not all that fantastic, and it could create a new demand for Greens in the next Parliament if the next election isn't as the sky's about to fall, and makes it such that the vote goes all polarized the way that it did this time around. But we'll see that. I see Kit Dan here. Yes. My guy won by the slightest margin, but a win is a win is a win. Time to get back to work. We had Kit Dan try to join us on the show live, but unfortunately was not able to be with us. He was at the campaign headquarters, if I am not mistaken, of a gentleman named Vince Gasparo, who, as Dan just said in the chat, who ran for the Liberals in the Eglinton Lawrence, I believe, is the riding, and did manage to win over there, winning the seat. So good for him. Very, very, and hopefully for Kit Dan, who did some volunteer work on that campaign, there might be more opportunities for future endeavors and collaboration. So, but yes, we do like it when Kits do democracy. And just here, breaking news from Kit Uncover: the Greens co-leader Jonathan Pedno has stepped down. So there we go, another leader. So Trudeau gone, Jagmeet gone, Pedno gone, Polyev on life support, and Blanchet considering picking up the phone to pick up a Canadian legal will kit. Let's put it that way. Hey, it's Eve. He bought life insurance. Oh my God, I'm terrible. Of course, we had some also reaction from the premier, so we'll have to talk about Danielle Smith just a little bit. She put out a screed. That's the best way I could call it. For those of us who are not into reading long screeds, and this is one of one of the sad things about Twitter allowing people to have more than 280 characters if they pay a certain amount of money. Now, it is convenient. Sometimes you do need a little bit more, but she wrote a novel, right? So for those of us who are too long didn't read, basically it comes down to, dear Prime Minister, congratulations on your victory. The other guy would have been better, though. Fuck you. Love, Danielle. Right? But for those of us who enjoy, I'll use the term loosely, our eyes rolling in the back of our head as we go, oh, God, girl. This one's for you. I'm so sorry. It's the most backward, uh, most backward dedication in podcast history. Danielle Smith. I congratulate Prime Minister Mark Carney on his minority government election victory that night. That was the extent of the niceties. Okay? I congratulate Prime Minister Mark J. Carney on his minority government election victory last night. I also want to sincerely thank Pierre Poilievre for his powerful and principled advocacy against the last decade's punitive taxation and anti-resource policies that have made our country weaker, more divided, and overly dependent on the United States. When you don't have Canada's abusive boyfriend around to tell you how worthless and weak you are, you can depend on Canada's abusive girlfriend to do it for you. Mr. Poilievre's vision for a safer, more affordable, united, and prosperous Canada drove the policy debate in this country for the last several years and has inspired millions to see unique potential of our nation. While Liberals and New Democrats demeaned and demonized Albertans, our values and our industries for political gain, Mr. Poilievre made empowering Albertans and our energy sector a cornerstone of his campaign. His respect and admiration for Albertans could not have been clearer. He is and continues to be a true friend of Alberta. So all that to say about Pierre and about Mark Carney. I congratulate the Prime Minister on his minority government election victory last night. Impressed yet by the leadership? Let's continue. As Premier, I invite the Prime Minister not to a meeting or not to dinner or congratulatory drink or something. As Premier, I invite the Prime Minister to immediately commence working with our government to reset the relationship between Ottawa and Alberta with meaningful action rather than hollow rhetoric. A large majority of Albertans are deeply frustrated that the same government that overtly attacked our provincial economy almost unabated for the past 10 years has been returned to government. Overtly attacked our provincial economy again, built you that pipeline that you keep on running around the provinces, crowing about how much better business person you are now that you're rolling in it. But okay. As Premier, I will not permit the status quo to continue. Albertans are proud Canadians that want this nation to be strong, prosperous, and united, but we will no longer tolerate having our industries threatened and our resources landlocked by Ottawa. The problem, Boo Boo Kitty, is that Albertans are not any more proud than any other of the proud Canadians and do not want this nation to be strong, prosperous, and united any more or less than any other Canadian. They're not special. That does not make them special. You keep on wanting a cookie for this type of thing. We're glad that they are proud Canadians that want this nation to be strong, prosperous, and united. But so do Ontarians, so do people from Prince Edward Island, so do people from the Yukon. I mean, this is not special. In the weeks and months ahead, Albertans will have an opportunity to discuss our province's future, access various options for strengthening and protecting our province against future hostile acts from Ottawa, and to ultimately choose a path forward, because Ottawa shouldn't have to defend itself from hostile acts from you, though, right? Boo Boo Kitty? All the hostility goes one way, as evidenced by this diatribe. The other side is hostile. Congratulations. The other guy is better. Now you better do this or I'm going to fucking create a national unity crisis. Stop being so hostile. As Premier, I will facilitate and lead this discussion and process with the sincere hope of securing a prosperous future for our province within a united Canada that respects our province's constitutional rights, facilitates rather than blocks the development and export of our abundant resources, and treats us as a valued and respected partner within Confederation. Our government will be holding a special caucus meeting this Friday to discuss this matter further. I will have more to say after that meeting is concluded. Oh God, please have not much more to say. You already have said way too much. You just never stop talking. The problem is that you always have something and more to say. God, every time I hear her, it's like that scene in The Devil Wears Prada. All I'm hearing is this, and what I want to hear is this. Yeah. So, again, congratulations. Get to steppin'. Be my bitch. That's Danielle Smith's message for the Prime Minister. I don't know how well that's going to work out for her. Now, of course, Danielle Smith, again, is in a position of needing some razzle-dazzle to distract from the fact that the RCMP is breathing down the neck of one's administration. Yeah, kind of, let's punch down on the new Prime Minister already. Because, I need to show that I'm fighting for Albertans. I need a distraction. So, yeah, we'll see how that works out for her. We're going... Let me put it this way. Somebody sent a tweet yesterday talking about what we needed for the road ahead here. And a lot of people are framing this over and over in the context that it is up to the Prime Minister to make some type of move here, some type of conciliatory move towards the Conservative movement in Canada. Right? Because, well, they're not happy. And the Prime Minister did, in his speech, make a point of saying, and this is a boilerplate statement, but hey, these days, it seems that you need to say it. But the Prime Minister made a point of saying that even though there's a lot of people that did not vote for him, he's going to make it a point to govern for all Canadians, to try to represent all Canadians. So he's open, right? He is from the region. He will have the opportunity to have an actually national cabinet because we did elect a Liberal in Saskatchewan. Bucky Belanger, I believe, is his name. So there will be someone at the table there. There are 2 MPs from Alberta. There are 6 from Manitoba. If I were Carney, I would put 2 people from Manitoba in the cabinet this time around, because Manitoba really delivered. So yeah, there's an opportunity there. There is an opening. There seems to be some willingness, but it's not going to be. I mean, this guy was the governor of the Bank of Canada and the governor of the Bank of England. He is not particularly inclined, I would assume, to play head waiter to the provinces or head waiter to other parties. Right? So this whole line of argumentation that's been coming up that, so I guess Preston Manning sort of inspired, right? That, if we don't win, this, you, the Liberals are going to have to do something extraordinary to get us back, or else there'll be a national unity crisis or something, whatever. No. As far as I'm concerned, the answer to that is no. Now, it doesn't mean being antagonistic towards them. Not at all. There's nothing to be gained about on that. But Mark Carney doesn't have to go begging either. Right? They're all talking about this as if it's, it's owed to them that the prime minister has an extra layer of magnanimity expected of him because of the fact that he is the prime minister. It's up to him to make the inroads, to reach out. And the thing is, and we've had this thought said in previous conversations with other guests, is you cannot have an honest conversation that will be productive or an honest negotiation with a bad faith partner. It's impossible. It just cannot be done. Right? Any of us who've been on internet, when you're talking to someone that's, but here's some stats. Yeah, you're dealing with someone who's having a conversation in bad faith. There's no way that you'll be able to even agree to disagree with someone who is here in bad faith. There's no productive conversation to be had. There's no positive outcome that can be generated if one insists that they're going to be of bad faith. And we might have this type of situation when it comes to this. So, you want to be able to move forward and seek consensus and bring everybody's opinion in, right? And try to shape things so that the greatest number of people are happy. But if you have one person or a group that's just going to insist on not being happy and not cooperating, you can't do this. So my objection to this type of rhetoric is that the Conservative Party and this conservative movement as it stands right now has made it very clear that they are not on Team Canada. They are not. They consider themselves conservatives first, as Mr. Grizzly points out many times. When Mr. Trudeau had that extraordinary meeting where he brought all the leaders of all the parties in a room, Pierre in that room was still trying to make his case, according to what Elizabeth May said about that meeting publicly. And in that meeting, the Prime Minister asked everybody to go out and work their own contacts to help make the case for Canada. And the Conservative Party of Canada decided to do nothing, proudly, did not lift a finger in any way, shape, or form to help Canada during that time, under the leadership of Pierre Poilievre. They spread disinformation, they lie, they cheat. So we have a situation where, I'm sorry, but the Prime Minister of Canada does not need to go groveling to the conservative movement and saying, hey, in the spirit of national unity, let's all work together. In my opinion, this time around, it's up to the conservative movement, if they want that to happen, to show up to the Prime Minister with a proposal for how it is that they intend to be a team player and be on Team Canada. They are the ones that have shown bad faith over the last period of time. So it's not up to us to run over to them and say, what could we do to bring you on side? We'll open the door. will have the arm and the hand outstretched. We'll be willing to hear you out. But if you're going to show up at our doorstep and tell us all, again, how we're trash and we're unethical and we're corrupt and we're this and we're that, well, thank you. We don't need you on our team. You're not going to help us score the goal. And I believe that Carney has the luxury of that. And I believe, given his background, being at the head of the table in a lot of these boardrooms, that he has the ability to insist on that somehow. Say, listen, you are welcome to be on Team Canada, but there are going to be some house rules that you need to follow here. If you're willing to follow those rules, come right on in. Be a full participant, make yourself at home. But if you're not, we don't need that right now. That's going to hurt with our efficiency and our productivity. Thank you, but no thanks. So yeah, there's none of this, conservative, in the spirit of national unity, right? No. You do not get to play the Team Canada / National Unity card when for the last 2 years you have been explicitly telling us that you have no intention on being Team Canada or being on it. That's just a non-starter. It's not going to happen. So yeah. All right, kids and cubs. I think that's all that I've got for us today. I'm just going to take a quick look at my notes and see if there's anything else here. No, got Evie, got that kind of stuff. Giovanni interview that we didn't need to show today. So yeah, that is everything. I do have one last little clip actually that I think it is important to show, because this election, even though it went very well, and we did get higher turnout, not the high turnout that we had expected, but we did get higher turnout. We had very good advanced voting, and things went smoothly. And all the leaders of the parties afterwards have agreed that things are well. There was one small group let me rephrase that. I don't want to say a small group. There was one group of people in a district in northern Quebec who unfortunately had a little something strange happen, and a lot of them, as a result, ended up being disenfranchised. And the reason why I want to bring this to you, kids and cubs, is because, as you know, again, I'm not a big fan of disenfranchisement, regardless of the reason. And I have problems with people interfering with people's right to cast a fully informed vote, but even more with their right to cast a vote in the first place. Now, nothing here, I want to put out the caveat, seems to have been malicious, but clearly there was some type of lack of planning, and one would get the impression that the people that were negatively affected by this were maybe treated as an afterthought or secondary when it came to planning, and at least contingency planning, to make sure that they could all vote. So kids and cubs, some information for you. We had a good election, but here's a place where we could have done better.
Watts in Quebec City, and I've been watching the Abitibi Bay James Nunavik EU riding. It's one of the largest in Canada and the largest in Quebec when it comes to geography, and it has one of the most interesting election night stories. Mandy Goulmasty defeated the Bloc Québécois in the riding, and her name might be familiar to you because she's the former Grand Chief of the Cree Nation government. She resigned from that role to take on this race as the Liberal candidate. And a little bit of history for you, the last time that this riding was Liberal was in 2000. In between that time, it's been taken over by the Bloc Québécois, and then the NDP under Romeo Saganache, who led the riding for 8 years. And then in 2019, Sylvie Bérubé with the Bloc Québécois won after the seat was vacated by Romeo Saganache, and she's held on to that riding until now. This riding spans thousands of kilometers from northwestern Quebec all the way up to Nunavik. Because of that, it includes a lot of potential Indigenous voters. But CBC has heard from residents in 5 Nunavut communities that say the polling booths closed early on Monday. Some booths were reportedly only open a few hours in the afternoon, and one resident in Saluit, who's lived there for 40 years, says this is a denial of their charter rights.
On the street, people are wondering what the heck is going on. They're wondering why they were denied their right to vote, especially when they receive a card, an identification card from Elections Canada, saying that the poll closes at 9:30 p.m. and it closes at 3 in the afternoon. This is ridiculous.
Now, in an emailed statement, Elections Canada has said that weather issues were affecting flights for workers, and in several cases it was, quote, not possible to recruit local teams. Elections Canada did not confirm if these polling booths closed down or which communities were affected. But because of the unique makeup of this riding with Cree, Inuit, Naskapi, and Anishinaabe voters, it was deemed as one of several in Canada where Indigenous voters could very well determine the outcome. But now, many people in Nunavik feel excluded from that process.
Say hello to Litter Robot.
And there you have it, kits and cubs. I'm not sure why it is that they could not have trained anyone locally for that prior to be sure that there was backup staff in case of an emergency or contingency such as this. But sorry, we couldn't get people there to you. We couldn't get people there to you, so you don't get to vote. This is the type of situation where Elections Canada could do, like happened in 2021 when they had the wildfires out west, where they could do for that particular riding. Just say, we'll do the vote the next day or the other day, and actually allow people to have their vote. That can, Elections Canada does have the power to suspend a vote and reschedule it for the whole nation, yes, but generally you only need it for a riding or two every now and then in case of a situation like that. So they could have done that with the staff not being able to be there, but it's like, just close the office at 3 and that's enough. Not good. Not good. Should always have some local staff trained, no matter what. So that means, when you're doing the recruitment process for staff, you start earlier and you send a team up there to try to train people locally beforehand. But it shouldn't have to be a situation where all the staff that is required, enough to keep the polls open for 6 of the 12 hours that it's supposed to be open, that they have to be flown in. The full capacity to be able to run a poll for the full 12 hours should be there locally. So that's a failure of planning, and hopefully planning for the next election will ensure that is the case. All right, kids and cubs, that is the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us because we loved making this for you. Remember, sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless. So please tell your peeps and poops all about us. We love it when you do, and it helps us out. Now, if you would like to take us with you because you are on the go, you're doing democracy right now, taking a rest because you've done some hard work, pat yourself on the back. But once you get back into it, doing democracy, being a good community member, taking care of your family. Hey, if you're a student, exam time coming up, all that kind of stuff, you're doing a lot. Sometimes you can't stay there and watch us live at the computer. You need to take us with you. Well, you can, because we have our ears only version podcast. Thanks to the Ray Girl, we have a QR code and a pod page. You scan that, brings you right there, pod page, you subscribe, and boom, when we have a fresh podcast, zip right into your inbox, just like that. You don't even have to go looking for it. We make it super easy. So please do subscribe. Thank you so much for that. Now, if you'd like to help us in other ways, kids and cubs, well, hey, Kit Elaine has a suggestion for you. Why not surf on down to the True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube page, where we have a selection of buttons for you to click on, like, share, subscribe. They're all there, and they are just waiting for you, looking at you with eyes. Pick me, pick me. So you don't have to choose. You can choose all 3 collect them all. Come to our website, click on our buttons. Thank you so much for helping us with that. We really appreciate it. And if you would like to, kids and cubs, help us in yet another way, end of the month, it's that time, got to pay some bills. So if you appreciated our election 45 coverage, if you thought it was thorough and thoughtful and helped you with your decision, or just entertaining, or we brought you some information that the main networks didn't bring you, or in the style that you appreciate, we would be very grateful to receive an enthusiastic expression of your encouragement towards our show, for us to keep on making something like this for you in the future. Costs us a little to bring this to you. So any help that you can give us, any support or encouragement to underwrite those costs, definitely means the world to us. And you can do that, kids and cubs, by going to the Eager Beaver Lodge's Emergency Hydration Fund, also known as our tip jar. And the QR code that has now just appeared will bring you right there. If you are listening, that's our coffee page. Now, coffee is spelled ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, all in one word. And there you will find let me try that again. And there you will find a way to be able to support your favorite beaver and favorite grizzly in their endeavor to bring you more media literacy, political literacy, financial literacy, and all that good stuff that you need to be able to take in all the avalanche of information that you get, sift through it, and actually make your own decision in a manner that is informed and clear. We thank you for your support, because it means the world to us. And over there, you can make the donation. Remember, no donation is too small. Everything helps, and we are grateful for all that you are able to do for us. And with that, kids and cubs, I would like to give a little shout out to Kit Carlos, who sent us a little something with a message. Like always, I have nothing but praises for your incredible work covering the election like bosses. Boom. And after having done democracy this weekend, I'm glad to announce the validation of science, as my sex appeal has just reached 1.276 double digits. Here I finally come. Because we keep on saying that your sex appeal gets a 17.8% boost if you, no, sorry, 23.6% boost. Yes, how interesting you are at parties gets a 17.8% boost if you donate to our emergency hydration fund. So thank you so very much, good sir, for that contribution. And of course, for a little chuckle that always means the world to us. And also, kids and cubs, we had a little, let's see here. Oh, there we go. A little bit of support as well from, I think this is a first-time donor, Kit Allen. So thank you so very much for your contribution. We really appreciate it. No comment from Kit Allen based on it. Included in the donation, just a donation. So thank you so much. We really appreciate you having taken the time and having made the effort. And hopefully over the course of the coming weeks, as you listen to our show, what we have will keep resonating with you. And you will keep on finding what it is that you seek when you come here and look for us. Thank you so much. That was very kind of you. We also have a thank you to give to, just looking for it here. I'm so sorry. We got a wonderful donation also from Kit Rula, who's also a new donor to us. So thank you so very much for your kindness, Rula. We are just overwhelmed by the generosity of our kids and cubs, and no message from Rula to go with the donation. So just a straight up donation and just a little bit of encouragement. So thank you. All of these contributions go back into the show in order to make it better for you and to bring you more features and more stuff. So thank you. so much for your support. It really does mean a lot to us, especially since times are tight and people are being much more judicious with their dollar. So thank you, kids and cubs. Speaking of being judicious with your dollar, if you would like to, because you are buying Canadian, make sure that your donation to us is 100% Canadian. We also have a way for you to do that. truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com is our email address. And if you just send us a direct transfer, right, well, then that donation comes to us, and it doesn't have to go through any of the CE bros out there in the tech companies. So when you donate to us via Google, Google takes about 30% of it. When you donate to us via PayPal, they take a smaller percentage of it. We get over 90%. But when you make a direct transfer, we get 100% of your donation, and your donation doesn't go through the CE bros from PayPal and everybody else. Goes directly through your bank. So your transaction is 100% Canadian, and we get all of your donation. So it's a win-win situation. Just want you to be informed as to your choices. So that's why we're telling this to you. If you would like to use that email address for other reasons, truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com, for example, to let us know what you think of the show, or if you had some guest suggestions, things of the like, constructive criticism, we like it. We want to hear it all. Please, we are very interested in what you have to say. Also, if you have a question for us for our Q&A show, we do need a lot more. We do need a lot more if we're going to do this. So kids and cubs, please do send your questions if you have anything about politics that you want to know, or anything about the show itself, how it is that we put things together. truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com is the email address at which you can do that. If you want to write to us and communicate with us in other ways, you can do it via our socials, True Eager at the Blue Sky Beaver Lodge, and at The Bad Place on the Shitter, our original home on Facebook, True North Eager Beaver. Thank you so very much. And the kids on that page have been very active of late, and we appreciate that. Thank you so much. And of course, right here on YouTube, if you're watching live with the Damn Fam, or later on at your convenience, leave us a little note here in the comment section. We do read everything, but we're not able to get back to everyone, unfortunately. But all of your comments go into making the show better, because it's your show too. And we thank you for all that you do. If you happen to be listening to us on Apple Podcasts, also please give us some stars and reviews. That helps us with the algorithm. Kids and cubs, because democracy is something that you do, remember that if you live in the province of Quebec, you have a Liberal leadership race coming on, and the results of that will be coming in June. So please do what you need to do to find out about your candidates and get involved in the process there. Otherwise, take another day off. This was a heavy slog. There's been a lot of elections, a lot of stuff going on over the past few months in Canada. So part of doing democracies, knowing when you need some time for self-care and when it's time to recharge your batteries, because there's always another fight, right? We celebrate our successes, and we do. We've staved off that conservative push. We've sent a message, although not as strongly as I would have liked, that this type of politics has no home here. We may have created a situation where the leaders of at least 3 more parties might change over the next year and a half. So a bit of cleaning house, hopefully, perhaps. That's a lot of work. So celebrate the success, take a couple of days off, and then we get back to work, because we didn't elect a majority. So we got to remain vigilant. And we'll be there with you. We'll be here with you, kids and cubs, every step of the way, giving you the information that you need and the encouragement to get involved. Because, as we say, democracy is something that you do. Can't rest on your laurels. Words of wisdom, I think Mr. Grizzly gave them before he left. So I don't know if I have any additional ones for you today, other than, like I said before, rest. If you have an opportunity for rest, do take it. Your queen beaver is very, 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 very tired. But you give me energy, and I'm always willing to show up for you. And again, thank you for your indulgence and not having and being okay with me not being there yesterday morning. It would have been a very tough show with about maybe an hour sleep maximum after pulling I think the results show went 8 hours and 20 minutes. So that was a bit of a heavy lift, and we also had done a morning show. So I took a little personal time. I almost took some time today as well, but I was just anxious to get back to see you. So I couldn't wait. I need my fix of the damn fam. You guys are lovely. All right. Now it is my turn, kids and cubs, to do the cue the cock thing. So let's remove these QR codes. Hopefully you've had enough time to scan them. And I will say to myself, or kids, how about you say it with me? Mr. Beaver, cue the cock. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and The Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music. Hey there, kids and cubs. Before we go, a little bit of a Canadians who make us proud moment. Going to go back once again, as I often do, to our tennis players. But this time, it's a more than proud. It's a major milestone. We have Canadian tennis player named Gabriel Diallo, who cracked the top 10 top 100 earlier this year, and has been slowly and steadily making his way up to about 85, 86 in the world. But, new to the top 100, that's a whole new tier of competition, winning some matches, losing another, and losing some others. But getting a little bit of luck in terms of the fact that there's been 3 1,000 level tournaments, which are just below Grand Slam, in which he did not qualify, but because he was the highest ranked player left in the highest round of the qualification round who had lost, was able to get to the main draw because somebody had to pull out. This time around, the person that pulled out was Carlos Alcaraz, one of the top 10 players in the world. So he got to go there, and he won his first round match. Then he won his second round match. Yesterday, he was playing Cam Norrie of Great Britain, who's on the return from injury, but is in the top 100 of the world and has been high as number 8 in the world. This is the toughest opponent that Gabriel Diallo has probably played, or one of the toughest opponents in his career, and especially since breaking the top 100. Well, Diallo lost the first set 6-2, but then won the next two 6-4 and 6-4 for the biggest victory of his tennis career ever. And this brings him to the, I believe, 4th round of this tournament. So, which is an extremely good performance for him. And as a result of that single win yesterday, because this is a high-level tournament, Gabriel Diallo jumped from about 78th in the world to 65th in the world. So good for him. He's got another match today, later on this afternoon, and should he win that one, he will jump to 53rd-ish in the world with that win. So right now, he's having the week of his life. So, and that match will probably be on TV if there's any tennis fans that would like to check him out. He's very, very tall. He's like very tall. And he will be facing Grigor Dimitrov from Bulgaria, who's a former top 10 player and currently number 15 in the world. Match time is scheduled to be around 1:30 this afternoon for those of you who will have the luxury and the ability. But for those of you who want to see an emerging talent on the big stage, probably for the first time, and see what he's got, this would be a chance to do that. All right. That's all I got for you today, kits and cubs. I'm off. Hopefully, we'll have a chance to play some tennis today. That would be a lot of fun because I need to smack a couple of things. All right, kids. See you later. Have a beaverific day.